Hello everyone. Um we're we're back in this channel. I renamed it because I believe the videos are pretty boring, so I'm gonna delete that one video I talked about like a couple months ago. Um but anyhow, I'm back with that channel. I'm probably gonna be using it for quite a bit for days or something. Anything like going on. But this is about the abandoned railroads, if they're being restored or not. But so we're just gonna look at these things if it's like, I don't know, used or not. So we're gonna look. So here we got, can abandoned railroad be used again? Okay, so this person says abandoned railroads. Hold on. Abandoned railroads are rarely reused for railroad purposes in the USA. The abandoned railroad right of way is frequently used for hike and bike routes, or it may be returned to it. And I can't really read it, but property owners, depending upon laws and the original property purchase conditions. One exception is the old railroad that extended south from Halston along US 55 and Highway 69. The railroad line was abandoned in the 1980s, but the tracks were left in place and the row was retained. The Kansas City Southern Railroad required the row and reopened the line about 25 years later in a section from Kendleton to Victoria. The rail was all replaced. The road crossings and signs were replaced. Most, if not all, structures were replaced. A multimodal yard was constructed at the north end to transfer loads and from the highway system. I am uncertain of the south and circumstances. Okay, so they, I kind of think they rebuilt it again after like 25 years because it was about the Kansas City Southern Railroad. Um, yeah, I think they rebuilt it since this year, maybe. I'm pretty sure because it says it. And then it was in Texas. Um, the, and Mark Woodridge is the Master of Science in Civil Engineering in Texas A&M University. Graduation graduated in 1991. So that's when he found out about the railroad being rebuilt. So it was being rebuilt. It got 154 views. Let's look at the next one. Um, this has to be something. Okay, so another, if it can be rebuilt. So this is Gary McAdam says they can indeed whether or not a route is suitable for reopening after being shut down and abandoned depends considerably on whether or not the formation right of way, as it's known in the USA, has been kept intact in fee of redevelopment, and any bridges, viaducts, and or tunnels in route maintained. If the old formation remains substantial of or completely intact, then it is achievable, though not especially cheap, as any sold off land has to be repurchased, the various structure refurbished of replaced, and the old track bed cleared of vegetation, drained and leveled off before track reinstatement can begin. If track is still intact, then the capital cost is further reduced. Though it most contains of this type, this just permanent way of or and signaling equipment has to be replaced before reopening. Here in the UK, the beaching cuts of the 1960s lead to the abandonment and removal of several thousand miles of railway. Quite a few of those old lines served areas that have since seen significant population growth since in a few cases the economic and social benefits were judged sufficient to justify the rebuilding of the routes in question. Notable examples include Nottingham to Mansfield. What this was a bleaching casualty in 1964, with sections at each end remaining in use for coal traffic. But the newsstand Kirby and Ashfield section was abandoned and lifted in 1972. The rationale for reinstatement was returning services to Mansfield, which was the largest town in the country without a rail service at the time. The abandoned portion was rebuilt and restated, including the excavation of a field and tunnel near Kirkby and Ashfield, with services resuming in 1995 and later extended over the extent freight line to workshop, or it doesn't say workshop, it'll say workshop in 1998. Airdrie to Bathgate, this secondary line between Glasgow and Edinburgh had closed to passenger east of Airdrie back in 1956, but remained in use until final abandonment in 1982. West of Bathgate, from there to Edinburgh, remain open for freight. Passenger trains returned to Bathgate in 1986, with the missing lane west to Dronglen and Airdrie rebuilt and reopened. Scottish government backing in 2010. It was the first route between the two major Scottish cities to be electrified, being operated by EMUs from the start. Borders Railway, the inner to Glassholes and Tweedbank section of the well-known Waverley line through the borders to Hawick and Carlisle, that was controversially closed and abandoned in 1969. For limited consent to rebuilding the line was obtained in 2006. Rebuilding work began 6 years later, and passenger trains beginning running in September 2015. Not all of the original alignment was used, as road building and mining subsidence have made some of the old route unsuitable for reinstatement at the northern end near Miller Hill. A suitable new rail was found, however. The line was proved a spectacular success, carrying over 1 million passengers in its first year, against a projection of 650,000, whilst also providing a sizable economic boost to the towns along its route. Stirling along and Carden line was this route was a combination of the former Stirling and Dunfermline Line Railway. I don't think I heard of that before, but as far as Alana, closed in October 1968, despite not being listed in the Beeching report, and the Kennel line then slowing the fourth story to Dunfermline line, used primarily for mineral traffic to Longinen Power Station at its eastern end. A section through Kincardine line was reinstatement mainly to allow the coal traffic for Longinen to be kept off the busy Fort Bridge, but along to Stirling was also rebuilt for passenger use and reopened in 2008. That's the year that I was born, but that was in July the 22nd. But anyways, it carried more than times more passengers than originally forecast and has since been electrified. The remainder of the line. Hold on. Where was I? I was forgetting. Sorry, I got right back for a second. Anyways, back to the passage. It carried the reminder of the east of Alana is currently unused following the closure of the power station, but reopening to passenger service in the future remains a possibility. Benjamin Mest closed to passenger traffic in the summer of the 1970. Much of the line remained in freight use until the demise of the last pits in this part of the Welsh coal field in 1985. The closure of the Massachusetts Central Coal Watery in 1988. The line was left discussed but intact for 4 years before being refurbished and reopened to passengers in 1992, with 6 reinstated intermediate stations. Reopening proposals for other abandoned and docked routes across the UK are made, particularly current routes and conservation. Okay, we're gonna probably stop here. Okay. That was a lot of railroads being rebuilt, so I guess they do being rebuilt, but some railroads just don't be rebuilt for quite a while. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll let you know if there's anything going on about abandoned railroads in Ohio or something like that. We're just talking about it, if it can be like used again through all these states. But next video, we're gonna do it for Ohio states. All right. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.